Number 15, I'm going to do using Desmos. Okay, so I will have the left side being y equals 4 raised to the x. The right side will be y equals 51, okay? Oh, what's this normal distribution stuff? I'll tell you. All right, so we're going to do y equals 4 raised to the x. And I'm going to hit home so we can see it a little bit better. Oh, I made a mistake. It's 4 raised to the x, not 4x. Oops. Delete. 4 raised to the x. Okay, so we get that. And then the other equation is going to be the right side, so y equals 51. So now we have to kind of figure out where the two would cross. So I'd say 51 is a pretty good region. So if I click right there, I'm looking only at the x value. I don't need the y component. So my answer is 2.836. Cool. What else did you see on there? Yeah. Number 9, you got it. Number 9, so it's the x to the third plus 10x squared, that one?
Yeah.
Keeps going? Cool. Says we want to factor each completely. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to just go y equals, and I'm going to graph it. And that could tell us quite a bit about this problem. So y equals x raised to the third plus 10x raised to the second plus 19x minus 30. Okay, so let's hit back home. Okay, this one's going to be really nice because if it crosses the x-axis 3 times and it's raised to the third power, it means I know all of my zeros. Okay, so I have -6, -5, and 1. So if I wanted to show the entire factored form, -6, x equals -6 becomes x plus 6 as a binomial. Does that make sense? And then -5, x equals -5 becomes x plus 5 as a binomial. And then x equals 1 becomes x minus 1 as a binomial, and that's how it factors. That help you out? Sweet. Now, it is possible that you can come across these, and they want you to see if you can factor it further, and sometimes you won't see that where it crosses all 3 times, which means that might be something called a complex solution. So let me try number 10. Did I do number 10 yesterday? No, okay. Let me try number 10, just see how that works out. I'm not sure if this comes to no solutions, or one real solution and the rest happen to be complex. Plus 9x squared minus 6x minus 5. Okay, so number 10 also worked very nicely because I get each of these points. Okay, so the little more complicated on this one, you have 3 what they call real solutions. So this is going to be the binomial x plus 5. Agree? I'll come back to this one in a minute. This is going to become the binomial x minus 1. But then we have to make sure, if I have -0.5, if I get x equals -0.5, that's the same thing as x equals -1/2, which then you multiply both sides by that, and then this becomes the binomial. Now it might become very possible. Oh, that's not happening nicely. They're done. Okay, so 2x plus 1 is how you do that. So there are times that you might not be able to get you might not be able to figure out what the fraction that goes with it, and that's okay. I know that's going to happen, and there's definitely other things we can do, but I would say definitely utilize the technology the best we can to do most of it. What else did you see? It was 1 through 16, right? Is there any other questions you wanted me to hit upon? Any other questions from that? You feel good? Everyone's happy? Content? All right. Can I flip over to the back side? Okay. The only ones I want to show you, and then I'll give you time to work on this, is take a look at 17, 18, and 19. Let's just go through each of those, and we're going to use Desmos to help us on each of those. The nice thing about those is Desmos will work very nicely doing this type of problem. So I have x, I have x minus 4, close parentheses, and then I have x plus 1. And then I can even do the inequality. I have a greater than 0. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so notice it appears that my lines here and here are both dotted. Agree? Yeah. So that means that those as endpoints are going to be a parenthesis or a soft bracket. It won't be a hard bracket. So anything in this blue region, either side, would mean if I had graphed that as y equals x minus 4 and x plus 1, that means it would have been above the x-axis. But we have this as an inequality. That's what greater than 0 means. It means it's above the x-axis. So my first region is going to go from negative infinity, soft bracket or parenthesis, all the way to negative 1, also parenthesis. And then you would also get from 4 parenthesis to infinity. Does that make sense how I've said that? So friends, that's not what the parabola would look like. Let me graph what the parabola would look like over top of this, just to give you a visual representation. Do you all agree it would be a parabola if I FOILed it out, I'd get x squared minus 3x minus 4? So, but I could just graph it as this. Let's see, x minus 4, parenthesis, open parenthesis, x plus 1. Okay, and let's move this out of the way. Make it a little darker. Okay, so the top equation is the problem that's given. The bottom equation is if we were making a look at like the parabola. So notice where my parabola crosses the x-axis. It happens to cross at that negative 1. It crosses also at the positive 4. As I go from 4 to infinity, the parabola exists above the x-axis. As I go from negative infinity to negative 1, the parabola is above the x-axis. That's what makes it greater than 0. That's the fundamental theory. The nice thing is Desmos will do the inequality graph for you, but the inequality graph is not necessarily what the graph is going to look like. If we did something called a sine line, have any of you done a sine line yet? A sine line would be this. You would write a line and you'd do this. So I got negative 1 and positive 4. So a sine line is going to look like this. Oops, get this. This is negative 1, this is positive 4, and it would be positive, negative, positive. Okay? These positive means above the x-axis. This negative here means below the x-axis. And that's all a sine line is. I don't know if any of you, I think some of you have taken pre-calc at some point, so that might have been something where you might have just jumped to a sine line and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, like you got pluses and minuses that are taking place, what gives? That's where it comes from. That sine line goes directly back to what this foundation is, okay? So there's a positive means it would exist as a two-dimensional graph above the x-axis. If it's negative, it exists below the x-axis. And we'll start getting in more and more into sine lines. So if you don't know what a sine line is yet, we will get to that. Okay? So, how do you all feel? Feel comfortable? Are there any of those that are sticking out from 17 to 26 on that following page that you're not quite sure how to work it? That I can help you with?
So what do we put for the answers?
Oh.
The negative infinity, or
yeah. So it's negative infinity to negative 1, and then 4 to infinity. That's what the answer actually looks like.
Is that all we have to put?
Yep. That's called interval notation. Okay? I don't know if you've ever heard that term or not, but okay. So I think some of you are starting to figure out that. Sorry. Yeah, you're perfect. So we're just on the back page right now. You're probably figuring out that when I'm approaching a lot of this stuff in math, one, I want to use the technology to clear up any gaps because, you know, whether you chose to not take calculus after pre-calc, let me assure you this. If you're going to go into college and you go to take calculus in college is far easier than AP. AP is driven by its curriculum. They go fundamentally deeper on concepts. I will tell you probably one of the best places to take calculus, and you need to know this because most of you are seniors in here, and if you're not, it's okay. This information is not going to hurt you. I wish I would have been told this when I was in your spot in high school. You can take courses at a community college, and it will transfer to the university that you go to. Now, here's the big difference between taking math at a community college versus math at a university. So I'll use Arizona State, where I went. I took calculus for about a week and a half at Arizona State, and I thought, there's no way I can hang with this. This is why I couldn't hang with it. I walked into Murdoch Lecture Center, which sat 300 people. So there was 300 people taking Calc 1. Guess what you can't do when you have 300 people in class? You can't ask questions. Okay? They tell you, oh, go to this time, and then you have a TA that will help you with concepts, which is fine. But it didn't really gem with what I was doing. When I went to South Mountain Community College and took calculus, I had a class of 15 people. The teacher knew me, I knew the teacher. I could ask questions. Other people in class could ask questions. It was the exact same content, and when I took it at the community college, it transferred right back over to the university, and my diploma from my university is the diploma from the university. It does not say, yeah, they took most of the classes from this university, you know, because I finished up at Grand Canyon, but they took some other classes elsewhere. It doesn't say that. It's when you need to request transcripts that someone might see that you had gone to different locations. I was barked at many years ago by a counselor at a different high school that I was at, aka Chaparral, that don't tell kids about the community college because that's not our clientele. And I looked at him, I thought, dude, you are as crazy as they come. Because this is one thing that I realized with college, and I learned this in my first couple years. Go to where the professors are similar to high school teachers. That's a community college. I've taught math classes at Arapahoe Community College. I know that the professors at the university, a lot of times, they want to do the research. Okay, they're doing research grants for the school, getting a lot of money. The last thing they want to think about is teaching. Now, I'm not saying that all university professors are bad. Please don't take that from me. But there are times where you're going to stumble in life, and stumbling in life is part of life. It's not, if you stumble in life, that doesn't mean you're broken. Trust me, my friends, I have stumbled so many times. in life from age nothing to age 53 now, you figure out what makes your path work. And the funny thing is, no, I didn't take calculus when I was in high school. I wasn't the most motivated student, and I'm not trying to say that to say that I, ta-da, look at me. I struggled when I got to college because I didn't have the foundations. You guys have a much more positive foundation than I had in high school. But I struggled, I stumbled, and I had to kind of refigure out how education worked. I figured out how to make it work, and I go figure this. I'm working on my doctorate in math. Like, seriously? Like, I struggled. And now I'm working on my doctorate in math. So my point is, yeah, there are stumbling blocks. Stumble. Okay? It defines you as a character. If you stumble and it keeps you down, figure out how you're going to, lift yourself back up. Okay? It's part of it. And I'm just trying to give you the, ideas. I always like to be the person of, give me what my options are and allow me to make my decision based on my options. It always drove me nuts. You have to go here because that's the only way to get to where you want to be. Okay, if I would have listened to that, I probably wouldn't have made it. Okay, I found my path that worked for me. If I showed you my transcripts, for my undergrad, it has Arizona State, Grand Canyon University, Mesa Community College, and Grand Canyon University. Grand Canyon University is the most of it, but I had credits from each of those schools that I transferred over that satisfied their curriculum, okay? And those are just things to know. The community college is a valuable tool. So seniors, if you choose to, I'm just telling you, if you choose to go to university, and I think it's great, if you stumble a little bit, that's not the end game. The end game is if you have the desire to get a higher degree, a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Master's, PhD, doctorate, I don't care what you want to do, but don't allow a stumbling block define you as a person. And that's the big key with this. So when I'm showing a lot of this information to you guys, there might have been stumbling blocks that you came across in previous math classes. And I'm hoping this class kind of picks you up. It fills in some of those gaps where it's like I missed 2 days because I had strep throat and I didn't have a teacher who recorded, so I couldn't watch the lessons. Okay? That's just part of the educational process. But I can assure you, my friends, if I can get to where I'm at with all the stumbles that I did in life, man, I got to tell you, 28 years of teaching math in high schools, I haven't worked a day in 28 years because I love what I do. I mean, I know we've all had teachers that are pissed off that they're sitting there in the classroom, right? I hope you don't get that message from me because, people are like, oh man, 28 years, 2 years from retiring. Nah, I don't work. I really don't work. I mean, students in class are not hard to deal with. I act like a kid. I behave like a kid. So I kind of think I got a good rapport with you guys because I'm kind of that goofy guy. But those are just things to know about. Now, what I was very thankful for was my 2 daughters. Sure, certainly they struggled here and there in school, but there was things that I knew that I struggled with that my parents didn't do for me that I made sure I did for my own kids. And my daughter Leah is set to graduate in May from University of Nebraska, and she's applying to PhD programs to 3 different universities. She's waiting to be accepted, but I'm so happy for her. My other daughter is a sophomore at Purdue. She's in the honors college for biochemistry at Purdue. And certainly she struggled
here and there, but she's doing just fine. I mean, I'm just happy about what things happen. So, every one of you has a different story of your upbringing, your background, and that makes you a beautiful person. Okay? My upbringing was this. My parents worked full-time for their own business 7 days a week. I grew up on TV dinners and crock pot meals. When I'd get home from school, I knew where our stashed key was outside in the front yard. I'd grab the stashed key, unlock the door, and let myself in. My parents weren't always there for me. And that's allowed me to struggle because I didn't have someone I could lean on, unfortunately. And then my mom, after my dad's business went bankrupt, my senior year of high school, she went back to teaching. And she actually went back to teaching before that, but she had taught before I was born. Hello.
I'm so stressed.
Thank you very little.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. So, did I mark somebody absent? Gabrielle Clark, where are you at? Did I mark you absent on today?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're good.
I'm going to change that.
Thanks.
I'll take care of that. I make mistakes. Another stumbling block of my part. Okay. So, hey, I hope that gives you a little perspective of things to come. Okay. Those of you who aren't going to university, you're fine. There's things that you will struggle with as well. You're going to work with people that you might love, and you might work with people that you're like, I don't like. But will you guys do 17 through 26, which is on the back side of that page? I can't write my 6 now. And we'll take care of you after that. We do have a test on Thursday. It's going to be on Schoology. It'd be great if you brought a laptop or a tablet because you could see it better, but you're certainly welcome to use your phone. Cool?